Sheena, come here.
Isn't it soft? Oh yeah.
Hello, we're going to a TED Talk.
Oh wait, you started.
Yep.
I was gonna like, but it had a really cute dress. And I was like, I want this dress. And I was like, hey guys. And then I outgrew it. Oh, is this stuff literally?
Oh yeah, look at my pretty face. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Wait, who's seeing this?
YouTube.
I don't think you can.
Oh, no one will see it then. Just a little.
I don't know what to do.
But yeah, my uncle's only talking about it.
So guys, hello, we're eating breakfast right now. What?
And now I'd like to introduce our host in this.
But they tried to take your heartstrings, and this was it for Solomon. He said,
If I try to show it to you, you're lying. So, if I come down, I'm going to do a little bit of shopping. Just hold still where you are.
He's on the ground, like. Joe.
Hello, how are you? It's lovely to see you. You don't know him. I did a wonder job on stage. I'm looking at the watch. It doesn't come off very well. You have your ring as well? Good, just taking inventory. You're like a buffet. It's hard to tell where to start. There's so many great things. Hi, how are you? Good to see you.
You look like a
Sir, you can
cat.
stand up for me, please. Just right where you are. You're married. You call the direction 12. That's nice to meet you, sir.
This, I couldn't quite get your lunch off. It was difficult. Yet you had something inside your front pocket. Do you remember what it was?
No.
Check your pocket, see if it's still there. Is it still there? Oh, that's where it was. Go ahead and put it away. We're just shopping. This trick's more about the timing, really. I'm gonna try to push it inside your hand. Put your other hand on top for me, would you? It's amazingly obvious now, isn't it? It looks a lot like the one I was wearing.
Machine does. Computer science, computer programming, coding is global and it's visual. It's global and it's visual. It's a visual voice to the world. Perhaps it can do what society has not been able to do. Maybe it is the great equalizer.
Raja is a member of the Chicago chapter of Young Presidents Organization, the Economic Club of Chicago, and is an alum of Chicago Global Shapers, which is affiliated with the World Economic Forum. He's an angel investor, primarily supporting other Chicago-based entrepreneurs. Please help me welcome Raja Namani.
What if I told you that when you graduated college, you had to give up your cell phone, couldn't use the internet, and had to move to a foreign country where you had no family or friends and didn't speak the language? And on top of it, you had to live like this for the next 20 to 30 years of your life. That means no Facebook, no Instagram, no Snapchat, and like a lot of us have been doing in this audience, no texting. Is there anything you've done in your life to date or could ever imagine doing that would be as scary as other Westerners? Prakash would take me to local Tibetan and Nepali homes where we drank. I feel like that's like the common thing to bring people together. We had rice whiskey and rice wine, and we'd tell stories. We'd make jokes. We'd literally be sitting in these tiny houses with one room around sort of a burning oven. So we got to know each other pretty well, and he spoke pretty good English because this was his job, this is what he did. And one day, you know, we were walking, trekking again. I think we're on the descent now. And he said something to me that I'll never forget. He said, "You're really lucky to be taking this trip." And I was like, "What do you mean lucky?" I defended myself. I said, you know, I didn't have a silver spoon. I worked hard. I saved up. And I can do whatever I want with the money that I saved. You know, I deserve this. I chose to do this trip. He said, no, you're lucky to be in a position to save money, which sort of pissed me off also. I said, no, what do you mean? I said, yes, I had certain opportunities, but, my parents, and it's not just my story, it's, again, the story of many people that have traveled long and far to improve their lives, didn't come from a whole lot. They worked hard, they saved money to give me and my siblings a better life. We're not lucky. I told him, I understand where you're coming from, but that doesn't mean that I'm lucky in some way. And he said, no, you don't understand. You're lucky to have been born in the US. And that crushed me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. He wasn't saying that I wasn't a hard worker. He wasn't saying that my parents didn't struggle at some point in their life. He was simply saying that I was lucky. And he was right. We were literally both the same age, 27 years old at the time. I was traveling for fun, pretty unlucky, right? And Prakash worked 7 days a week in the Himalaya mountains, away from his wife and 2 little children who lived in Kathmandu. He literally never saw them throughout the year so that he could save enough money to send back home to them. And I didn't know this at the time, of course, but by the way, in the major earthquake that happened a couple of years back, his house was completely destroyed. I realized at that moment, the most important thing that happens to us in our lives is literally the single thing we have no control over.
It's a road called Snake Alley, and these hand-laid bricks, even in the dry, were slippery and dangerous at best. But what's interesting about this road is that as we rode up the circuitous route, you'll climb roughly 275 feet. And we would do that roughly 25 times. And including the rest of the distance we rode, we would climb roughly 6,000 vertical feet. And I remember that day thinking, I'm glad I'm not carrying that extra 5 pounds on that steel bicycle. But in the end, that phrase, it's the motor, not the machine, went out. Chris finished in front of me, as generally he always did. And I've seen more of his backside than I would like to remember. He was the most talented cyclist I knew.
Could also have full buckets. And she was so blessed by this experience that she continued to do it every week for years, eventually gathering around her some of her friends who also lived their lives with full buckets. And she told them about this amazing program, got them excited, and together they formed the Cold Water Collective. People who lived with full buckets that would travel to places of emptiness to share in their own generosity to the least of these. And the Cold Water Collective began with just 5 neighborhoods, expanded to 10, 20, 50 neighborhoods every week being blessed by their generosity. And the Cold Water Collective was hailed as a success. That is until one day, Suzanne, a recipient of the Cold Water Collective's charity, asked them this question. Have you ever wondered why, after years of pouring from your buckets into mine, your buckets remain full and mine remain empty?
Yeah, that's what comes at the end of the year. They all know you, they either hate you or love you. Well, not. If I see you, you're supposed to give up.
Hey, Joe.
I didn't touch you, my shoe touched you.
Well, your shoe's touching you. So.
It was Joe.
News. Seems you get
It's
it
not
smoking.
weed, just
News.
like cigars.
No,
it's candy. Whoa, hardcore. Like, that was like,
I'm not smoking. Colleges, don't look at those.
Seems like I just went to an academic thing. No, I'm texting. My phone literally has a
hot and fresh out the kitchen. Mama rolling that body, got every man in his kitchen. Sipping on coke and rum, I'm like, go out and come. It's the freaking weekend with him, about to have some fun.